Only in Kentucky could you find ancient burial mounds, a ghost in an Art Deco theater, and the birthplace of country music royalty, all in one county. Hi, I'm Michael. I want to teach you a little bit more about Kentucky. One county at a time. All 120 of them. And today we're talking about Boyd County. Boyd County was formed in 1860. It was the 107th of Kentucky's 120 counties. It was carved from Greenup, Carter, and Lawrence counties. It's named for Linn Boyd of Paducah, actually, a U.S. Congressman and Speaker of the House who was elected lieutenant governor and died exactly before he could serve a day, exactly one day before he could actually serve. Before the county even existed, though, settlers were already plotted out to very different towns. Catlettsburg came first. In the late 1700s. Alexander and Horatio Catlett built a trading post at the mouth of the Big Sandy and the Ohio rivers. Steamboats, timber, livestock, it all soon made it a lively river port. The gateway to eastern Kentucky before, the railroads came was right there. By the 1850s, it had saloons, hotels, and flatboats. Flatboats stacked 2 deep along the shore. But upstream, a different kind of town was being formed. In 1786, the Pogue, hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, family settled along the Ohio and founded Pogue's Landing. In 1854, the town renamed itself Ashland, though, after Henry Clay's Lexington estate. It was a nod to progress in politics at the time. And so by the 1900s, iron furnaces and later steel and oil refineries transformed it from a quiet river settlement into an industrial powerhouse. In 1922, Armco opened Ashland Works and pioneered America's first continuous steel rolling process. 2 years later, Paul Blazer founded Ashland Refining Company in Catlettsburg, later Ashland Oil, and turned it at the time into a Fortune 500 giant. So for decades, their smokestacks defined the skyline, but by 2019, the mill was silent, and in 2022, the old blast furnace came down in a controlled implosion, felt clear across the tri-state area. I've already heard from some of y'all, by the way, and apparently there is a rivalry between the whole county and the city of Ashland. It was actually likened to the fictional cities of Pawnee and Eagleton rivalry in Parks and Recreation, and I'll let the locals talk about that rivalry in the comments. Anyway, the Paramount Art Center opened in 1931, designed by Rap and Rap as one of the first theaters built for talking pictures. It's, Art Deco Egyptian revival, red ceilings, bronze walls, wings goddess above the stage, and one loyal attendant, spirit, they call him Paramount Joe. Legend says a construction worker died in 1940s at the theater, and ever since people hear footsteps, doors slamming, photos falling. Well, in 1992, Billy Ray Cyrus filmed Achy Breaky Heart at that theater. He signed posters for all the staff members. He even signed a poster for Paramount Joe. But when someone later on took Joe's poster down, every other signed photo in the box office crashed to the floor overnight. Like, just supposedly, So now Joe's poster has its own spot on the wall, and nobody touches it. That video turned Achy Breaky Heart into a global phenomenon, by the way. But also with music, Boyd County gave the world Naomi and Winona Judd, born and raised in Ashland. They scored 5 Grammys, 14 #1 songs, all before Naomi retired in the early 90s after a Hep C diagnosis. The Judds were later indicted into the Country Music Hall of Fame somewhat recently in 2022, the day after Naomi passed. And yes, Ashley Judd grew up there too for a little bit before heading to UK and then eventually Hollywood. Some other quick facts that I found. Boyd County borders 2 different Lawrence counties, one in Kentucky, one across the river in Ohio. Ashland's Camayo Arcade, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, was built in 1926. It was Kentucky's first indoor shopping mall, decades before Louisville's. Boyd County is also the new home of Healing Appalachia, an annual music festival co-founded by Tyler Childers that raises money and awareness for addiction recovery across the entire region. Calgon's Carbon's Big Sandy plant in Catlettsburg makes tens of millions of pounds of activated carbon every year, used in military respirators and water filters around the world. Central Park still has 6 Adena burial mounds, more than 2,000 years old. Just, a reminder that people were shaping that land long before our ancestors got there. Today, US 23 is known as the Country Music Highway. It cuts straight through Boyd County, linking some of hometowns of America's best country music artists, a stretch of road that's produced more hitmakers per mile than almost anywhere in America. So that's Boyd County. What did I get wrong this time?